Sad topics should be avoided in the classroom. Debate presented by Hilary Clark and Zoe McDonald.
Facing loss is a difficult area for many teachers to address with children. Yet children frequently face loss. Loss and grief are implicit to the human condition and to life. The topic debated today is sad topics should be avoided in the classroom. In this forum, the term sad is used to describe grief and loss. Youth Beyond Blue and Richard Woolley define grief as the subjective reaction to losing something that is important to you. This includes finite losses such as the death of a family member, friend, or pet, or non-finite losses, losses that are not death-related, such as relocation or the separation or divorce of parents. Other terms that may arise during discussion of grief and loss include bereavement, the objective state of having suffered a significant loss, and mourning, the cultural, public, or interpersonal efforts that are involved in attempts to cope with grief and loss. In this debate, we will be arguing from the negative standpoint.
Argument 1. Grief and loss are a natural part of life. Whether learned through formal education or not, students will begin to develop their own understandings of loss and grief. However, without a sufficient knowledge of death, loss, and grief, and their accompanying feelings, it has been found that many children come to develop greater fears and worries about death than those who have been well informed. The feelings of sadness, confusion, and often anger that can accompany death or loss are all part of the grieving process, and one's ability to accept this is particularly important for their emotional health. Classrooms are used today to provide students with a safe and open environment to learn about and discuss difficult parts of life. As teachers, we should be utilizing this same forum as a way to facilitate a healthy discussion about death, loss, and grief, and the expected feelings of those who are experiencing any of these hardships. We must also consider that students are not always naive to these issues, regardless of their personal experience. Students can be influenced by a range of sources. As Nelson Fever identified, by the age of 13, most children who watch television regularly would have experienced over 10,000 fictional film and television deaths, as well as numerous discussions or images of real death and loss presented by various media sources. We feel it is therefore extremely important that we as teachers address these tough topics to ensure that all students are equipped with the best, most appropriate information.
Counter-argument. Sad topics are dealt with differently amongst all families, and conflicting family values and religious views could render classroom discussion inappropriate.
While situations regarding family values and religious views must be handled in a delicate manner, we feel that the complete avoidance of sad topics to prevent conflicting views and values does not promote a healthy learning environment. Instead, as educators, we must encourage all students to be respectful and open to the opinions and beliefs of all those around them. We also believe that such a forum could give students an opportunity to take valuable insights from others, which in turn could support them in furthering their own understandings, healing, or values.
Argument 2. School may be the only forum for students to deal with their grief. When dealing with loss, children look to adults to recognise their grief and provide them with the support they need. Whilst parents or family members may be the prime choice for support of bereaved children, this is not always a viable option. When dealing with a family death, relocation, or divorce, parents and other family members may be coping with their own grief, which limits their ability to offer adequate support to the child. Schools, on the other hand, can offer a sense of community for children outside of the family unit. Kenneth Doker states that school becomes a major foundation of support for youngsters when they face critical loss. The school becomes the setting within which children need to have the freedom to experience and harmonize their emotions. It is therefore essential that teachers are able to identify students who have been affected by loss and are equipped with the skills and knowledge to support children through periods of grief. Resources, including teacher reference books, websites, and picture books, are readily available to support teachers in dealing with bereavement. However, it is vital first and foremost that schools simply provide an outlet for students to discuss their grief in a safe environment, as whilst discussing loss, particularly death, can be a difficult subject to approach, avoidance on part of the teacher can be detrimental for student well-being.
Counter-argument. School is a place of academic learning with an already overcrowded curriculum. Should the grieving of one student be allowed to interrupt the learning of all?
To this, we would argue that the Australian Curriculum Health Strand promotes discussion of such emotional issues, such as the Level 3 and 4 content descriptor stating students will explore strategies to manage physical, social and emotional change. This suggests that schools not only have a moral obligation to ensure students are prepared to discuss grief and other emotional changes, but a government-mandated responsibility as built into the curriculum.
Argument 3. Avoiding sad topics may lead students to believe that their feelings are unimportant. Whilst grief and loss are often considered taboo subjects, acknowledging a child's emotional well-being in regards to such issues affords them the belief that their feelings are valid. Discussion also allows children the freedom to believe that the person or situation that they are mourning is important. Grief that goes unacknowledged is described by Kenneth Doka as disenfranchised grief, in which the relationship, loss, griever or circumstances of the student's grief are not recognised, or the expressions of grief are not socially accepted. The consequences of disenfranchised grief are demonstrated in the following anonymous case study, also recorded by Kenneth Doka. A 13-year-old student, let's call him Sam, experienced the death of his father. Sam stated that, "My teacher was acting like it doesn't hurt when a family member gets killed." As his teacher's refusal to recognise Sam's grief continued, Sam's behaviour became increasingly erratic and aggressive. This led to Sam being continually reprimanded and detained after school. Sam eventually changed schools, such was his discomfort with his teacher. Would this have happened if his teacher was willing to talk about the death of his father in a way that sanctioned Sam's right to grieve? Would Sam's attitude be more favourable? What we can learn from Sam and Kenneth Doka is that discussion of sad topics facilitates a child's right to grief.
Counter-argument. Teachers may rationalise avoidance of sad topics by claiming they are protecting students from the emotional trauma of having to relive their loss.
Rebuttal. However, this behaviour can lead students not only to believe their feelings are unimportant, but, as established by Richard Woolley, can lead children to sense the falsehood in ignoring the loss, as though mourning were not a natural process. This can detract from the relationship between student and teacher, and in turn, with school in general, leading to disengagement and hindering academic performance.
In conclusion, we can determine that schools are a place of learning, not just of academic knowledge and skills, but of social and emotional learning, including the development of the ability to deal with grief. It is the responsibility of teachers to ensure that their students' well-being is not hindered by an inability to discuss sad topics. As noted by Kenneth Doka, schools can and must play a critical role in the mourning process. We often forget the significant role that schools play in the life of students. They offer the possibility of informal and formal support to a child struggling with grief and loss. Thank you.